on. Thank you. Alright. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic known classics. This is episode number 3031 and Doubleshot number 2925. We're here reviewing first Superboy, Volume 4, Issues 48, leads into The Last Boy on Earth, which is basically, I think, Last Boy on Earth. Is that a reference to Kamandi? It is. It's also, the story here is basically, because this is the theme for the remaining 51 issues of this whole book. Being a love letter to Jack Kirby. And this story in particular is a love letter to Kamandi. Heck, there's even a cat lady who says, "Face it, Tiger, you've hit the jackpot," which is a reference to Mary Jane Watson from Marvel Comics. By the way, Barbara Ketzler, she writes 48 and 49. Her now currently her ex-husband writes issues. He basically takes over. You have Tom Grumman doing the artwork too for this one. He also has the inking for these issues. Yes. Now, if you're curious, though, like, how long was basically his run in the book? I'll get to that in a minute. So, yeah, there's even reference here to Planet of the Apes, because most of the story, Superboy is grunting, he's not speaking very much, everyone's speaking normally, and eventually he says the very famous line that Charlton Heston said in the very first Planet of the movie, get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape." Yes, that was a line that Carl Ketzler borrowed from Planet of the Apes for this one, because this is sort of a Planet of the Apes reference, this one. Oh yeah, and a little story with that one. So, Carl had come back to the book. Yeah, this is his return to the book. First time since issue number 30. And he's back here for up until issue 79. Yes, up until issue 79, he is basically the writer. So he's back here for about 30 issues. Yeah, eventually, of course, the citizens of this where of this place is, they follow Superboy because he's not simply boy. He reveals he's actually, now we get the first appearance of these characters. Caesar, which I'm sure that's probably a reference to, they call him Great Caesar. Of course, it's probably a nod to Caesar, basically the Emperor of Rome, but it's also a nod to the original Planet Ape. Yes. So yeah, basically in a way, it's like the best way to describe these 4 issues, it is basically Superboy visiting the land of Kamandi in a Jack Kirby inspired story. And of course, everybody's still looking for Superboy. He eventually does return home by the end of issue 52. Which some of the characters in this book that don't follow him back. At one point, you could tell it was basically a Jack Kirby reference because we have the War Wagon from the Forever People series show up in this book. Yep. And by the end of this, basically, like, because the whole thing of this book is right now, these 4 is a nod to Kamandi. Yep. And then we have Darkness and Light. Where it's not, basically you also do have the wedding of a couple of the characters in the book. Yes. Yes.
I'm running out of time. I got a client here. I got an envelope in my car and a magazine from Grandma. The envelope has money in. Could you bring those over to her today before supper?
Okay. Anyways. I think it's Lady Tawana. Basically, it's like the whole thing with her. It's like, yeah, her debut appearance. It's like she's referencing Mary Jane Watson. Yeah. So, and the art style that the artist does for the book, Tom Grumman, basically, it's very reminiscent of, apparently, the second attack on Pearl Harbor, that mentioned here. The agenda is back. Yep. And, of course, he deals with a villain known as Gark, the Living Gargoyle. Which, this is 54 is his debut appearance. And he's a semi-recurring character when Carl Kitzler's back in the book. And do it with Hexed. Yeah, and also Director Alpha of The Agenda gets killed off in issue 55. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like they probably didn't have any use for the character anymore, so just kill him off. In case you're curious, though, like, oh, I forgot about the Millennium. I should probably do it later. So, he's no longer living in, I kid you not, he's no longer living in Hawaii at this point. Nope, he has left Hawaii. And he's living in a place called Kirby County. Yep. And basically, he's living in a place called Mount Curtis. Yeah, and like I mentioned, it's basically the whole thing of this one is, well, it becomes a Jack Kirby love letter. Because now we have the return of the Newsboy Legion, issue number 56. Yeah, there's also a million here. I'll discuss that later, but I want to keep moving on here. Then we have a two-parter known as Demolition Run. What do you think? Is this basically more Jack Kirby stuff? Kind of, yes. Yeah. And after this quick two-parter here, now, the very next issue 59, this is noteworthy because it was collected in a Superboy trade. This actually is the first one where Superboy's finally given a name. Mm-hmm. Yep. And after the whole demolition, which they even have the checkered stuff here. And then move on to the Hypertension story arc, which takes up from issues 60 to 64. And we have the JLA here deal with Debbie Donovan. Yeah, he's a crazy janitor who's also a scientist too. And he becomes like a recurring character in this book throughout the remainder of Carl Kitzler's run for the book. We also have Batgirl of Earth 1098. Yeah, apparently they decided to bring back some Zero stuff. Yeah, she first appeared in Earth's Finest Supergirl and Batgirl. Then we have the Kingdom Come Batman. Batman of Earth 19, basically the Gaslight one. Hypertension, there's Ben Boxer, a.k.a. OMAC. Not OMAC. He's from the OMAC books. Oh, he's from Commandi. Okay. Captain Carrot. And yes, they bring in the Challenge Unknown. They bring in Earth 1 Wonder Woman for a cameo. Despite the fact she's supposed to be dead at this point, but yet she appears here. He also have Batman of Earth 96. Actually, just looked at him. Maybe listen twice here. We have Hawkman Earth 2, I Chang of Earth 1, Joker of Earth 97, Commandi, Kid Flash of 96. Also like Kingdom Come stuff. It's all about Hypertension stuff. We also have the first appearance of Hyper Jacket, Superboy. Yeah. He's here for this one-off issue. and apparently follows the events of the Kingdom. So this is kind of like the aftermath of this thing. It's a big epic story arc here, and it does a really good job here. There's even like various different Superboys here. We also have the Justice Society of 1098. They appear here. It's like, oh, let's basically do Elseworld. Let's do Hyper Time throughout these next few issues. Even like an evil Superboy. No, it looks like basically a Black Zero. He looked like basically like a grown-up version of him. And kind of in a way, the whole hypertension story, like I said, it's basically we even have multiple Doomsdays here too. It's basically a fall from the Kingdom, and then eventually, of course, basically Black Zero does die at the end of the story arc, and then eventually, like 65 is the epilogue, and I love this title's greatest gathering of the greatest gallery of guest stars in the galaxy, where it's basically challenge the unknown, along with Hero Hotline, JLA, The Metalman, Oddman, Young Justice. It's a really good story arc. And it's kind of good that I stopped here with this one. Yep. Because the next time I talk about this book, I will be kind of in a way finishing up Carl Ketzel's time book and moving on to complete the writer. Because, well, I plan to basically, I could be just finishing the run. I could. Probably. I'll find out basically next time. But excellent issues. I give these issues a 10 out of 10. They're just amazing. Next up, basically, we have is Steel. Issues 51 through 62. It's 4152. Yeah, mostly put, it's just Steel, basically still battling villains in Jersey City, running his own group, having a relationship with Dr. Amanda Quack. That's kind of what happens over the course of these issues. But at the end of it, the book just ends at 52. Yeah. Like, let's go Hammer Falls, but he doesn't die. No, it's just basically just the end of the book. Also, his brother makes his final appearance at the end of the book. Yeah, and they kind of, in a way, kind of wrap the story up fine here. By the way, does the Garden State Medical Center, does it return after this book wraps up? I don't think it does. It first appears in 34. It's just a place where he works. Well, it does return in Deathstroke, because Chris Caprice wrote it. But in the case of Steel himself, oh, he will return. No problem about that. Can you believe this book ended in 98? You think like, okay, so his book ended. What exactly is he doing once this book is over? Becomes new administrator of a hospital, and, well, pretty much basically like basically they went back to Metropolis right after this book wrapped up. Yep. Yeah, basically next time we saw him is when he appeared in Superman 96. My guess is because they decided to give a soft reboot to the Superman comics, so bring back Steel back in his book. So he didn't do much anything for a couple of years, and then basically from this point forward, up until they did that storyline, Steel didn't have a book. Mostly put, he was a recurring character back in Superman books, occasionally also appeared a member of the JLA, but that's kind of what he was doing. Most recently, he did have another solo book, kind of. He was a supporting character in multiple Superman books, including Superwoman, where he was dating Lana Lang and actually be engaged to her. So far, they haven't had a wedding yet, per se, but I have no problem with the relationship. It's perfectly fine. He did have a recent miniseries recently, written by Star Trek Next Generation's Wolf himself. It's going to be Worf himself, Michael Dorn. Yeah. It was the best way I described this miniseries. It was basically just damage control without the comedy. But that was the most recent thing DC did with him. Though they also give an epilogue, but mostly put he was just part of the Superman family at this point in time. Afterwards, I guess DC still doesn't trust him in the book now. I do not think basically the Steelbook was bad in the Priest. It just wasn't as good as Louis Simonson's. But I'm gonna give his rating his last year basically a 8 out of 10. Final thoughts on Christopher Priest's run. It's okay run. Not much I'll say about it, but final thoughts on Steel Volume 2. Obviously, the first half book was amazing. I love Louis Simonson's run. I like the Tomasi issue. He wrote 2 of them anyways. Heck, do we have a fill-in issue where he fights Blockbuster? I thought it was kind of odd. Basically, he would just move to a different city just because he wanted to do a fresh start. Okay. But it's not a bad book per se. It's just that here's one thing really weird though. For a regular trade for this book only has 1 trade. And in case you're curious though, like, is like any other trade? Well, there's a 30th anniversary book when it comes to Steel. Yes, it does contain 2 issues of this book, issue 1 and 34. But aside from that, DC has never bothered to do any more trades of this book. Yeah, they pretty much collected issues 1 and 34. 1 was basically the first issue of Louis Simonson's run. 34 was the start of Christopher Priest's run. The first annual was not even written by Louis Simonson. She wrote a second one, but not the first one. First was done by John Boyabe. And mostly put basically he co-wrote the first 3 issues of Steel. So you could say he had a good reason to write the annual. Now there is basically a trade back Forging Hero, which all that contained was the first 6 issues, issue 8 and issue 0. It was technically the sole trade ever released for Steel. And for some reason, DC never bothered to doing more trades for him. I'm not kidding about that. There is no other trades with this guy. As the reason for it, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I mean, there's just this trade. There's 0 Hour stuff. But yeah. But with that, basically, Steel is done. I decided to replace Steel. I was going to do Superboy Volume 1. I figured I wanted to do it when I finished Superboy Volume 4. So I figured, though, I'm replacing it with Secret Origins. I've been wanting to get this book done for quite a while, so we're going to get back to it. Okay, so that's pretty much a particular review. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do the like button. Well, I'm going to go out for a bit and be back with more Sentai. Okay, next video. Bye.